Hi everybody, welcome to Storytime, brought to you by Pasco County Library System. Today we're going to read all about apples for you. And we have a really neat apple craft and some songs. So I hope you enjoy this story time. My friend Mr. Charlie is here too.
Thanks, Miss Judy. I'm really looking forward to getting into all of our apple activities for today. But first, let's sing our hello song. Hi, hello, and how are you? How are you? How are you? Hi, hello, and how are you? How are you today? Okay, and I'm going to read a book first today, so I'm going to put my guitar up and get ready for that. My book today is called How Do Apples Grow by Jill McDonald, and this is published by Doubleday Books. Everyone loves to eat apples. Crunch! But do you know how apples grow? Apples start from a tiny seed. If you cut an apple open, you can see the seeds inside. An apple can have up to 10 seeds. The parts of the apple look like this. So there's a stem, a leaf, the apple has skin, then on the inside of the apple it has a core, and that's where the seeds are located. Apple seeds start to grow when they are planted in soil and given sunlight, water, and fresh air. Plants use water, light, and air to make their own food. The seed grows roots, which reach down into the soil, and a green sprout with tiny leaves shoots up from the ground. When the seedling starts to grow bigger and stronger, it becomes a sapling. It takes 2 to 3 years for a seed to become a sapling. The sapling grows taller and becomes a tree. In the spring, buds on its branches open into pink and white flowers. Each flower will become an apple. Inside the flower are the parts that make the apple grow. There's the stamen, the pistil, the ovules, which are what turn into seeds, and the petals of the flower. The stamens are covered in yellow pollen. The pistil has a small sticky tube. Bees fly from flower to flower, spreading pollen from stamens to pistils. When the flower petals fall, an apple starts to grow. It takes a full summer for an apple to be ready to eat. Autumn is here, time for apple picking. Apples can be red, green, or yellow. Apples are picked, packed, and shipped from the orchard to grocery stores and farmers markets. The apples that fall to the ground are turned into cider. Apples are delicious, and knowing more about them makes them even sweeter. Now you know how apples grow. Good things are worth waiting for. I hope you enjoyed that book. It's really interesting to find out how much time and how much science goes into how an apple grows. We kind of take them for granted a little bit, I think, because they are so easily available and they're so delicious that we don't really think about it too much.
And I like how the cooperation of the bees and the soil and people who plant the trees and the saplings and tend the orchards make it possible for us to get those apples. I think that's pretty cool.
Great. I'd be really sad if we didn't have apples.
Me too.
And now, before we get to our second book, we're going to do an apple finger play. This is called Way Up High in the Apple Tree. Way up high in the apple tree, I saw 2 apples looking at me. I shook that tree as hard as I could. Down came the apples. They were good.
All right, I have a book about apples to read to you, and this is one of my favorite ways to use apples, is to make them into an apple pie. This one's called The Apple Pie That Papa Baked by Lauren Thompson, illustrated by Jonathan Bean, and this is published by Simon & Schuster. This is the pie, warm and sweet, that Papa baked. Now we have a couple of pages without words. The little girl's waking up, and out the window you can see Papa with a big ladder. I wonder where he's going. So the little girl jumps out of bed and runs out the door and after Papa. These are the apples, juicy and red, that went in the pie, warm and sweet, that Papa baked. This is the tree, crooked and strong, that grew the apples, juicy and red, that went in the pie, warm and sweet, that Papa baked. Now we see the ladder, and we see a basket of apples up there, and look, way, way up there's Papa picking apples. These are the roots, deep and fine, that fed the tree, crooked and strong, that grew the apples, juicy and red, that went in the pie, warm and sweet, that Papa baked. This is the rain, cool and fresh, that watered the roots, deep and fine, that fed the tree, crooked and strong, that grew the apples, juicy and red, that went in the pot, warm and sweet, that Papa baked. These are the clouds, heaped and round, that dropped the rain, cool and fresh, that watered the roots, deep and fine, that fed the tree, crooked and strong, that grew the apples, juicy and red, that went in the pie, warm and sweet, that Papa baked. This is the sky, wide and fair, that carried the clouds, heaped and round, that dropped the rain, cool and fresh, that watered the roots, deep and fine, that fed the tree, crooked and strong, that grew the apples, juicy and red, that went in the pie, warm and sweet, that Papa baked. This is the sun, fiery and bright, that lit the sky wide and fair, that carried the clouds, heaped and round, that dropped the rain, cool and fresh, that watered the roots, deep and fine, that fed the tree, crooked and strong, that grew the apples, juicy and red, that went in the pie, warm and sweet, that Papa baked. This is the world, looming with life, that spins with the sun, fiery and bright, that lights the sky wide and fair, that carries the clouds, heaped and round, that drops the rain, cool and fresh, that waters the roots, deep and fine, that feed the tree, crooked and strong, that grows the apples, juicy and red, that go in the pies, warm and sweet, that Papa bakes. This is the pie, warm and sweet, that Papa baked. Man, this makes me want some apple pie now. For me! There she is, smelling that wonderful pie. Getting ready. She's got her oven mitts on, so she's taking it out of the oven. And for you. Looks like even the horse gets a slice of apple pie. That is the end. It's really neat to think about all the things that go into something like baking an apple pie. You have to wait for the apples, like we learned from Mr. Charlie's book. And then once you pick them, there's a lot of steps to make the apple pie.
Yeah, definitely. And it really highlights how making a pie can be an act of love for someone that you care about.
That's true, very true. Well, I hope you enjoyed our apple stories. We have an apple craft to show you.
Okay, for this week's craft, we're going to be making an apple core. So you will need a paper plate, scraps of red, yellow, or green construction paper, depending on what kind of apple you want to make, brown paper, scissors, a glue stick, and a black marker. Okay, our first step is going to be to make the apple core shape out of the paper plate. So you're going to want to make something that kind of resembles a capital letter I. And that leaves us with our main apple core shape. And then to make the colored sections of the apple, I'm going to take these red paper scraps and we're going to just tear them into little pieces to glue onto the top and the bottom of the apple core. This is a good craft for kids to work on their pincer grasp. So now with some pieces ripped up, we're going to apply our glue stick. Glue these pieces right on. we'll do the same thing on the other side. And even though you can see the purple of the glue poking through right now, it's going to dry clear, so you won't be able to see that. And then our next step would be to cut out a little stem from this brown paper. So we'll just make a long, skinny rectangle. You can glue that to either side. I'm gonna say that this side is the top. Glue it up here. Final step would be to draw in our seeds. And like we learned in one of our books this week, an apple can have up to 10 seeds. And there you have it. And here's that finished craft one more time. We hope you guys had an apple-tastic day with this story time.
I really like that, Mr. Charlie. And it's quite simple, and you can make that out of things you have laying around the house. And if you don't have red or brown paper, you could always color white paper and make it that way.
Or you could have a blue or a purple apple.
That's right. It's
you can
your
use
apple.
your imagination.
It's your apple. Make it what you want. Well, I enjoyed reading these books to you, and I hope you have a fun week, and we'll see you again real soon.
So let's make sure we sing our goodbye song before we go. It's time to say goodbye, that's all we have for story time. It's time to say goodbye, but we hope you had a good time. It's time to say goodbye, and we'll see you here the next time. It's time to say goodbye, 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 goodbye. Goodbye everyone.
Bye. See you next
Wednesday.
time.